It was a year of firsts.
Jung-Un Lee 6. Andy Ogletree. Preston Summerhays. Gabriella Ruffles. Got it! A major champion, Gary Woodland.
The United States Open Championships are just that. Open. Open to any age, any size, and anyone with the determination to outlast the rest. But putting together a week's worth of quality golf also takes lots of game, lots of guts, and lots of purpose. Tonight, we recognize those who rose above the rest and call themselves champions. It's the USGA Year in Review show, right now on FS1.
And it's about history. That is what you do when you win a USGA championship. You join history. You join names like Hall of Famer Julie Inkster and multiple U.S. Open champions that we've seen over the years that have gone on to great things. As we welcome you into our Year in Review show, Shane Bacon with the 8-time PGA Tour winner, Brad Faxon, and of course, Julie. And guys, it was a really fun year for these championships. We got to see some great play. We got to see some big-time putts. And Brad, we got to see Pebble Beach.
Well, when you ask any golfer what's their favorite golf course is, the most famous golf course, it's Pebble Beach. It comes to mind immediately. Look at the history there. Jack Nicklaus won in '72. Tom Watson won in '82. Tiger Woods record-setting in 2000. We were teased when Victor Hovland won the U.S. Amateur there in 2018. The most picturesque course you could imagine seeing, and everybody wanted to see the U.S. Open come back to Pebble Beach for a 6th time.
Yeah, and Julie, we focus a lot on Pebble Beach. We'll talk a lot about Pebble Beach and that U.S. Open. We saw some great play in these other USGA championships.
Well, the one that sticks out in my mind is the U.S. Amateur at Old Waverly. Gabriella Ruffles comes in, she had a great summer, won the North and South, comes in, really unheard of, but didn't start golf till she was 15. Birdied 4 out of the last 5 holes to take home the trophy, and her shot making, her ball striking was on point that week.
It was a birdie at 17, a birdie at 18 to steal it from somebody I think on paper we thought would go on to win a U.S. Women's Amateur title. Not so much. 2 final appearances for Alban Valenzuela, but unfortunately came up a little bit short. One name that didn't come up short, of course, at Pebble Beach was Gary Woodland. It was his week in the 119th playing of the U.S. Open, and it was unbelievable conditions there at Pebble, as you see, and we were ready for it, that is for sure. A beautiful week. We mentioned this, the opening round, and this is what we saw early in the week. Brad Faxon, Louis Oosthuizen, his second hole of the championship, pulls the string for eagle.
Well, ideal conditions all week long, Shane. Maybe the green's a little bit softer than normal.
You see Ricky Fowler still chasing that first major title, plugged at 14. Able to get that in for a birdie. He had a great first round. And Xander Schauffele, who has continued to impress in U.S. Opens, that's his second shot at the 18th. That left for eagle. He would knock that in for an opening round of 66. And the shot of the day, Brad, belonged to Rory, but not that Rory. This is Sabatini.
You need to have the hole or the flagstick stop that ball on that hole location, a 1.
And the round of the day belonged to our 2013 champion, Justin Rose. He shot 65 to take the lead by 1. As we move on to Friday in the second round, hole-outs continue.
Well, Webb Simpson, U.S. Open champion as well. That short, stiff-wristed swing there, like Tom Kite did when he won.
Justin Rose chasing a second U.S. Open title. Great bounce here at the second.
Well, that par 5 turned into a par 4, and he's making it look like it's easy. That hole, one of the most difficult holes on the course all week long.
You don't want to be long at 18, Brad. You do not want to be long at 18 unless you're Matt Kuchar.
Well, again, another one of these magic hole-outs there, and that one went in like a putt. Didn't need the flagstick to stop it, and there's that magic smile from Kuchar.
1 of 2 eagles on the week for Matt Kuchar, and Brooks Koepka coming in with 2 straight U.S. Open wins. They're at 7.
Well, like our Curtis Strange going after history there.
You saw the hole-out earlier from Louis, and these are the conditions we talked about. Ball stopping on a dime, nearly a 1 for Oosthuizen. And a crazy stretch here for Rory McIlroy. He made bogey at 13, double bogey at 14. That from the fairway bunker at 15, and then this one is impossible, Brad.
Well, Shane, one of the hardest putts on the golf course when you're above this hole location at 16. So fast, so much slope, and from off the green, fist pump.
Par save of the first 2 days belonged to Gary Woodland. Left of the green here at 8.
Well, this was a story for the week for Woodland. How many putts he made here in number 9, one of the toughest holes on the golf course. This long putt in.
Just inside 50 feet. He was in a divot off the tee. Still able to make birdie, and he headed into the weekend leading by 2 over Justin Rose. And hey, Tiger Woods played in this U.S. Open.
Look at that, just picking it off the grass. No divot there, but still able to pull the string. Leave it right back there for a birdie.
Up and down day and week for Tiger Woods. This drops at 16, part of a 5 birdie, 5 bogey round of even par 71 on Saturday for Tiger. And Brad, we hadn't shed a hole out in about 30 seconds, so here you go.
And John Rahm, you're used to seeing him hitting long drives off the tee there. Not known for that around the green, but what a shot.
Now Adam Scott here at 17.
Beautiful bunker shot there for the great Australian player.
Ches Reavie, his best week ever at a major championship. This from just off the green for birdie on his way to a tie for 3rd. And when things are going your way, this doesn't really bother you.
Well, it's like a half swing there. He choked down on the ball, kept the trajectory there short, and see the fringes allowed for the ball to bounce up there and spun it to the left for a kick and gimme.
And really the moment of this Saturday, Woodland for par at 12, Rose in close for birdie, chips that in. And while that was going on, Brooks Koepka up at 15 for par.
Well, this was the most exciting stretch of golf I think I've ever witnessed. Watching what happened on these few holes with Koepka, the defending champion.
So Rose, watching that, the chip in, just calmly rolls this in for birdie.
Tiny little stroke there, just tapped it.
And how about this? Different venue, same set list at 14, Woodland for par. And, I mean, these aren't supposed to go in. They only go in if you win.
Unheard of save right there.
So just like 12, Rose had to watch that and is not rattled. He makes birdie right on top to stay within a couple, 1 back, headed into the final round. Gary Woodland trying to win his first major title. And how about Viktor Hovland? He ran away with the U.S. Amateur at Pebble Beach in 2018, had another record-breaking week in Monterey, nearly a 2 here at 8. He would break a record held by Jack Nicklaus, his lowest 70-hole score ever in this championship, and now Tiger here at 8.
Well, this is magic, the patented high below the flagstick shot by Woods that he's been known for forever.
He would play his final 11 holes on Sunday at 6 under par, final round 69. Jumps Tiger into a tie for 21st for the week, and Xander here at 9.
Well, green has been renovated and allows for these back hole locations. A little flatter on that side, more usable pin placements.
Great week for Xander, a bad week in terms of how he finished for Adam Scott. He was in the hunt. A great start. That out of bounds would end his chances. And Koepka, the par save of the week here at 2.
Well, you can't believe that you could get it up and down from there. Can't see the flag stick. You saw how thick that rough was, and he rolls it right up there and saves par.
Birdie's the first. Par there at 2. Now at 3 for Koepka.
Yeah, the hardest hole location by far on this hole. And these players making mincemeat with their wedges.
He would birdie 3. He would birdie 4. And now for another birdie at 5. And Koepka 4 under to start. Rose 1 back of Gary Woodland. Birdie's the first to tie the lead. But it was Gary Woodland's putter, really, Brad, that was the story all week.
It sure was. He led the stats in putting all week. Record amount, all 7 putt stroke gain lead.
And Justin Rose for par. He was leaving himself a lot of those over the weekend, would finally miss it. And Brad, this is what you called the shot of the championship.
Well, it sure was. There's a lot of risk here, out of bounds on both sides. Tiny green there. He got a great break hit into the upslope there, kind of hits it dead there, but a tough chip shot right there in the collar. Thick rough.
He would get that up and down. And now at 18, good tee shot from Koepka.
And he hits a 3-iron here, got really aggressive. He thought if he made birdie here, he might have a chance. He knew Woodland was on this difficult 17th.
Decides to pitch this at 17. And we were looking at each other, Brad, almost questioning the decision. And he pulls it off. I would say one of the best chips you will ever see, especially off a putting surface.
It sure was. And here's Koepka from behind the green. His 3rd for eagle there. Got a little caught there in the rough and left himself a tough putt for birdie.
Koepka would make par. So now it was how many are you going to win by? Woodland to finish this championship with a birdie And that's how he finished, and that is how you do it. Emphatic, impressive, and our champion, Gary Woodland, 68, 65, 69. And the final leaderboard you see there from the 119th U.S. Open Championship, Gary Woodland, his first major title. Brooks Koepka came so close to 3 in a row. And Xander Schauffele, you see there, tie for third. That's a tie for fifth, tie for sixth, and T3 in his 3 U.S. Opens. So Xander seems like a player that's probably going to win one of these at some point. As we welcome you back in to the studio. And Brad, it takes a change for a player to win a major title, especially a U.S. Open when they've never done it. Gary Woodland was a player we knew could bomb it off the tee. That's how he came out of college. But things changed a little bit this year, and it's what we saw at Pebble.
It sure has, and he's had a lot of, he's been in contention a lot. But to get over the hump, if you're going to write a recipe, and you know from experience, to win a U.S. Open, hit a lot of greens, make a lot of putts. Well, he was second in greens in regulation for the week, first in putting. That stat, he won by a long shot and won by 3 shots.
Yeah, he mentioned after, Gary Woodland mentioned after, he said, I felt when the putt started to go in on Thursday that it was going to be easier for me to do this. And when they started to fall, you saw par saves. You saw par saves from 50 feet. It was crazy, and it seemed like his week. And Julie, it was a Pebble Beach that was a little bit different than maybe people thought they were going to see headed in for a championship like this.
Yeah, usually in June and at Pebble, it's going firm and fast, and those chips weren't going to happen on greens like that. But the greens were a lot more receptive, a little heavier air. And, what I love about Pebble Beach is it's not only a bomber's golf course, but anybody can play it. Fairways and greens, small greens. It's really stood the test of time. But if you can get out to the first 7 holes, make some birdies, and you saw Gary Woodland, he birdies 2 and 3 and gets out to a good start, settles his nerves, and he played brilliant golf.
Yeah, when you look at that leaderboard, to your point, Gary hits it far, Koepka hits it far. Ches Reavie was in the mix over the weekend, not a guy known to bomb it. And I know you're excited. The women are going to go to Pebble Beach for a U.S. Women's Open soon.
2023 will be
Coming
there.
out of retirement.
Yeah, no.
Eyeballs are going to be on that.
I can't wait to see. I think it's going to be really interesting to see how the women played. I think they're just going to eat it up.
Yeah, well, they ate up Country Club of Charleston, and at times Country Club of Charleston ate up some of the players. We had a bunch leaderboard this summer at the U.S. Women's Open in one of the best cities on the planet. We ate a lot, and we watched some great golf in Charleston, South Carolina. Plenty of names with a chance on Sunday, and one passed them all by. Welcome back to the 2019 Year in Review show, and a look at Seth Raynor's masterpiece, hosting the best players in the world this summer. And that player right there, Jung-Hoon Lee 6, victorious. A great Sunday on a tough condition day. You saw a lot of players struggle with the greens, with the firmness of the greens in terms of how the balls were coming in. Putts were just not dropping, and it was Lee 6 who won by 2.
It's the 74th playing of the U.S. Women's Open.
But what a day here today at the Country Club of Charleston. This place will be the stiffest of tests this week for the best in the world.
You're in the ball game. You can't win on Thursday, but you can lose the tournament on Thursday.
And they're all chasing Mamiko Higa, a 65 to start here at Charleston. A bunch leaderboard with some of the biggest names in the world of women's golf brings us an exciting Friday afternoon around the Country Club of Charleston.
She liked that as soon as she hit that.
Another long birdie by Lexi Thompson.
And that is the horn, and play suspended. These lightning bolts were scary stuff. We are back after a storm rolled through.
Back of the hole, side of the hole, dunk.
She's just a couple shots off the lead.
The 70 players who survived this morning's cut are chasing a U.S. Women's Open Championship, the most coveted prize in women's golf.
Another birdie for Lee 6. We know the ball striking abilities of Lexi Thompson. Putter starts heating up. Watch out. Korda needed something in this third round.
Oh, what a shot.
And the putter continues to stay red hot for Celine Boutier.
Just putting brilliantly. Yes, she did, right in the heart.
Jay Marie Green joins Boutier at -7.
This is Yu Lu at 16 with her second shot. How about those two? What a shot. Boutier will fire 69 today, tied with her former Duke teammate Yu Lu at 7 under. As we start this shimmering Sunday afternoon, 11 players. We're within 4 shots of the lead. A lead being chased by some of the best in the game.
Can anybody make a putt they have to make? This is what it's going to come down to.
And when everybody else is falling apart, Lee Six has been flawless.
She's clicking on all cylinders right now. What a shot this is. Almost no chance. Why'd you do that? Wow. Championship stuff right there.
Jung-Un Lee 6 will win the 2019 U.S. Women's Open Championship. And the emotions come pouring out.
It was anybody's ball game, as you saw, headed into that final round. It was Lee Six who was able to capture her first U.S. Women's Open title. And Julie, it was about withstanding everybody else. It was about conditions that toughened as the week went on.
Yeah, you saw the first couple rounds, the course was playing soft from the rain. And then as it firmed up and as the pressure got a little tighter on Saturday and Sunday, really it was anybody's ball game. And I think all of us were thinking, Lexi being one back, Jay Marie Green bringing one back, that, coming from that second group back, that we thought maybe we'd get the winner out there. We had 2 young players, Celine Boutier, really a low ball hitter, she really struggled on Sunday. And so, we come in and all of a sudden, here's Lee Six, out of nowhere. And she birdies 11, 12, and 15, taking the lead on 12. And all of a sudden, there she is, and she wins a championship. And usually, you get your winner from the second and third person back, group back. But she played very steady golf all week. We didn't talk about her much, but she's holding the trophy at the end.
Holding the trophy on a golf course that is a historic place, Brad, from a historic designer.
It sure is. Well, Seth Rayner, historically, this guy has the highest percentage, of course, in the top 100 of any architect. Shore Acres, Fisher's Island, you can name them all. Fox Chapel, Joe Bucks, a member at St. Louis Country Club. Not many of the players knew his name coming in, but they all knew it going out, and they knew that they needed to play angles there. And when the weekend got tougher, the conditions got firmer. If you weren't on the correct side of the fairway, you had a really hard time hitting it close to the flag sticks, and that's why there was such a lack of birdies.
Yeah, we got to see what we wanted to see from a Seth Rayner major championship, and that is what we got. It was Lee Six who left a champion from Charleston. Great playing for the now LPGA Rookie of the Year in 2019. She won. Well, who else won? We'll take a look at plenty more of these USGA championships, including Steve Stricker at the U.S. Senior Open. Plenty more here on FS1. And we welcome you back to the 2019 Year in Review show as we look ahead to 2020 U.S. Women's Open going to Houston, the Senior Open to historic Newport Country Club, the Senior Women's Open at Brooklawn, and the U.S. Open at Winged Foot, both those courses designed by the famed A.W. Tillinghast. That will be exciting, exciting stuff. And speaking of exciting, the U.S. Women's Amateur this year saw some of the best play of any USGA championship all year long on a golf course that Julie Inkster knows oh so well.
The semifinal matches of the 119th U.S. Women's Amateur are out on the golf course here at Old Waverly. Megan Ganne taking on the very polished Albin Valenzuela. Now at 14, this a big moment for Megan Ganne, and a big eagle putt for the 15-year-old.
That's a beautiful shot by the 15-year-old. Did she hold it again? That could have been another eagle. I'll tell you what, that is some difficult shot to play.
Valenzuela first here on the 19th hole for birdie. And the veteran puts the pressure on the teenager. Megan Ganne has got to make this to extend the match.
Valenzuela wins 19th hole.
Andrea Lee, number 2 player in the world, taking on Gabriella Ruffels back at the 10th. And Gabriella Ruffels is going to have a chance to go 3 up.
Takes a commanding lead through 10 holes right now.
Now at 18, Lee for par. And that's that. It'll be Ruffels and Valenzuela to face off for this Robert Cox Trophy. This is it, the championship match of this 119th U.S. Women's Amateur. Gabriella Ruffels taking on Alvin Valenzuela. Yeah, real nice putt for Ruffels. And that the 4th time Valenzuela has regained the lead this match. Ruffels knows if this goes, the championship is hers. Did she do it? She did! Gabriella Ruffels, your U.S. Women's Amateur champion.
And if we're going to talk about U.S. Women's Amateur titles, it's good to bring somebody that won 3 of these in a row. And oh, by the way, won a U.S. Women's Open at Old Waverly, which hosted this year's U.S. Women's Amateur. And for me, Julie, this was my favorite event we did all year.
It was my favorite event by far. The ball striking, the players, Old Waverly really rolled out the red carpet for these amateurs. And, talking about Gabriella Ruffels, who won the championship, she had to go through Alban Valenzuela and Andrea Lee, 2 top women amateur golfers. And you could tell as the week progressed, winning 6 matches in the U.S. Amateur, it's hard to do. You're going to have your ups and downs. But her game really came together Saturday playing against Alban.
Yeah, and you mentioned some of the players that Ruffels had to go through. And when we looked on paper at the championship match, Valenzuela was in the championship a couple years ago in San Diego, losing to Sophia Schubert. I mean, it looked like she was going to be the more polished player to go out there and win this thing, and just ran into somebody that was making the putts down the stretch.
Well, probably in stroke play, she probably would have won, but it's match play, and that's the beauty of match play. It's just hole to hole, mano to mano. It's just me against you. Who wants it? And you could tell by that putt on 18, Gabrielle wanted it.
And if you ever want to feel like a celebrity or see somebody get all of the treatment you'd expect, go with Julie Inkster to Old Waverly. Julie, what did it feel like to go back? I know you'd been once before, but you won your first U.S. Women's Open title there. Obviously a place real special to you.
It was, and it still is. I mean, every time I go back, the clubhouse hasn't changed, the golf course hasn't changed that much. And I realized, winning a U.S. Open there, my first one, you don't get an opportunity like that, but to go back and then call the U.S. Amateur, it was great memories for me, and Gabrielle definitely deserved it.
And Julie, I love having you next to me with a microphone. I also love watching you play. Earlier this summer, you had a chance to win your first U.S. Senior Women's Open. And if you do that, when you do that, you will join the names.
I'm close.
Jack Nicklaus and Arnold Palmer, the only players that have won a U.S. Amateur, a U.S. Open, and a U.S. Senior Open. And Julie was very, very close at Pine Needles.
There are few championships worthy of this golf mecca. This week, legends roam the area with history in mind. A second U.S. Senior Women's Open Championship. Johnson, co-leader here at the 17th.
That's going to be a kicking birdie.
Inkster, beautiful look here.
What a great putt.
Alfredsson's got this for birdie to tie the lead. Right in the heart, Alfredsson. This a round of 66 for Trish Johnson, trying to capture this U.S. Senior Women's Open title, and she'll be in a great position to do so come Sunday. It is Championship Sunday here at Pine Needles Lodge and Golf Club, the second ever U.S. Senior Women's Open, and we have a packed leaderboard.
She has just come out here and set the place on fire.
Watch out, Crafter, just 3 shots off the lead. Much needed for Johnson. Now just a shot off the lead with 3 to go. All the body language in the world, and that one drops. This for a 2-shot lead with 1 to play. Rolling it. And Helen Alfredsson finally has her Open here at Pine Needles.
What a performance.
It was Helen Alfredsson. She outlasted some of the greats, including our own Hall of Famer. Julie, just thoughts on the week there at Pine Needles.
Well, playing with, Peggy Kirk Bell, home of Peggy Kirk Bell. The golf course was tough. The greens were really tough. Helen just played great. She made the putts coming down the home stretch. She deserved to win.
Really stressful for Brad and I to be in the booth and not make it seem like we're rooting for you. We have to keep our integrity, Brad Faxon.
Yeah.
And this is the second championship for the U.S. senior women.
Incredible.
Two great golf courses we'd had a chance to see and put on TV. It's been a lot of fun to be a part of it.
Well, Chicago Golf Club last year were one of the 5 founding clubs, and then go to Pine Needles, historic Donald Ross course in Donald Ross's hometown here in America, and to see, stressful is watching Helen Alfredson over a putt. Well, she hadn't competed much. She was fidgety. Trish Johnson had finished 3rd last year. You finished 2nd. So, it was the 3 best players there going at it down the stretch. And if you missed a green there was so many choices. And that's what Ross really wanted to create. He did it at Pinehurst. He did it at Pine Needles. Kyle Franz, the architect, that did a beautiful job renovating the course. It was so scary watching shots go into those greens.
And we didn't. We didn't mess up our integrity, Julie. We never at one point openly rooted for you. Maybe we would have fist bumped under the table, but close. 2nd place a couple times. I'm assuming you're going to compete in 2020.
Third time's the charm.
Third time is the charm
yes,
for Julie
I'll be
Inkster.
out there.
And not the only USGA championship, of course, that we are going to document in 2019. Julie close again in the U.S. Senior Women's Open. At Century World in Wisconsin, it was Leia that wins the 2019 U.S. Girls Junior. A great battle for that championship and an impressive young player. At the women's 4-ball, it was Erica Shepard adding another USGA title. The lefty won the 2017 U.S. Girls Junior, paired with Megan Furtney for that title. And at the women's mid-am, Ina Kim Shad, the champion, she was a runner-up all the way back in 2000 at the girls' junior, took 10 years away from the game, only to come out a USGA champion. Laura Tennant, back-to-back senior women's amateur titles. That putt curls in, and a great look at the champions from 2019. Tennant wins in 18 and follows it up again this year. Well, we've taken you through plenty of championships. How about the U.S. Amateur? At Pinehurst number 2 and Pinehurst number 4, an unlikely name, our champion. We'll be right back. In 2020, the U.S. Open will return to Winged Foot. Jack Nicklaus once asked on a scale from 1 to 10, how tough is Winged Foot? He said, an 11 or a 12. It'll host its first U.S. Open since 2006. You see, June 18th through the 21st. And if you go back to 2004, Winged Foot hosted the U.S. Amateur, that won by Ryan Moore over Luke List. And the U.S. Amateur this year played at famed Pinehurst. And for the first time, the championship match was played on 2 different golf courses, Pinehurst number 2 and Pinehurst number 4, and it was an unbelievable finale.
It is the semifinal matches here in Pinehurst, North Carolina. And now at 5. He struggled really in the semifinals to make birdies. He was making par after par after par. Ogletree at 8, this to win his first hole of the day. With the 11th, Augenstein, another lengthy putt for birdie. And now at 13, Ogletree, just 2 putts needed here to win the hole. This after winning the 12th in similar fashion. Now it's 16 for birdie.
And he finds that putt. Made it look easy.
Clutch putt. Andy Ogletree, walk-off birdie. Let's go get some lunch. The lead now just 2, and the momentum might be on that guy's side.
Augenstein knows he has to make this putt. Otherwise, in jeopardy of being all square. Now Ogletree to win the hole and get the match tied.
I was going to say he likes to fade it, and this is a tough shot for him. the pine weed over there on the right, anything can happen there. Said 6-iron. I can't believe he can get it there. All in all, not a bad lead.
How good is that? What an up and in from Andy Ogletree. And that will do it. Andy Ogletree, a surprise at Pinehurst #2, your U.S. Amateur champion.
Well, the U.S. Amateur was great stuff. But, Brad, it really resembled what we saw at the U.S. Women's Amateur. 2 players go into that championship match, one with the pedigree you'd expect to go on to win, and one was a little bit of an unknown.
Really, Andy Ogletree kept defying the odds, playing against John Augenstein, who on paper probably looked like a better player. Short, compact swing, powerful, kind of had sort of that moxie, a little cockiness, arrogance that you need to have. But Ogletree, he showed a lot. He was on the range, and he seemed to find something as the week get on. You know, long swing, could hit a big, high, powerful fade, which a lot of the younger players had, hit the ball really high. But I think what he really did was he showed something, because he got way behind early. He made a birdie putt on the final hole on the #4 course. You know, he made that putt. That made lunch taste better, and it certainly changed the momentum going into the second.
Yeah, he had that look to himself, like he wasn't fazed by anything, and something that was different. This is the oldest championship in American golf, is the U.S. Amateur. And for the first time ever in 2019, they played the championship match on 2 different golf courses. Of course, you sit there and think, Pinehurst #2, play every match you can there. #4 was unbelievable.
Well, it was unbelievable. Gil Hanse did a renovation of a Ross course. #2 has been the staple there. It's a trademark in America, really. Ross lived there in the winter times when he came over to America. And I think it's given #2 competition. I think now when people go there, they don't know where to go, 2 or 4. I think the USGA should do a good thing and continue to play matches, the final match on 2 different courses if they can find them of equal stature.
It was fun for us because we got a chance to see, as you mentioned, it was a refreshing different golf course to come up in that championship match. A lot of fun. Andy Ogletree was great. Andy Ogletree, of course, a part of that American Walker Cup team, victorious across the pond. And, Brad, we've talked about the things you've accomplished in your career, both amateur and professional. You always talk about the Walker Cup and how proud you were to represent the USA.
Well, really, for me to make the Walker Cup team in 1983, ironically, Captain Nathaniel Crosby was on my team. He had won the U.S. Amateur the year before. We went over there. We had uniforms representing our country, USA on our chest. It was really the neatest moment and the pinnacle of what you can do as an amateur, to represent your country. To travel overseas, too, is pretty neat. And the courses they play are always great.
Yeah, when you look at the lineup for the next 3 Walker Cups, it's like, I want to play there, I want to play there, I have to play there.
Well, in 2 years, Seminole Golf Club in Juneau Beach, Florida, one of the great courses in America, Donald Ross again, and then back to the old course at St. Andrews, with the most historic course in the world, the most history in the world, and then, hey, let's try Cypress Point on the other side of the United States, which already hosted a Walker Cup. I'm trying to get that 800 number to get you my amateur status back.
You need the status back. Anybody at the USGA listening, the guy is done with his professional career. He wants to be an amateur again and hopefully make some of those teams. That is a historic run.
Amazing.
For sure. Well, plenty of champions still to talk about in 2019 from all the USGA events hosted here in the United States, including Preston Summerhays. He won the Boys Junior at Inverness. One of the finishes of the year for sure. Out of the trees.
The putts, Shane. Every hole it seemed he made a clutch putt. That one there with a lot of break and a good fist pump.
And the 4-ball, a couple of staples. If you pay attention to the USGA Championships, you've seen these 2 names before. Todd Mitchell and Scott Harvey win the amateur 4-ball at Bannon Dunes, where we will be for the U.S. Amateur next year. Lucas Michel, 2019 U.S. Mid-Amateur. A big celebration there for Michael. The Australian, another Australian winner in 2019. And Bob Royak wins the 2019 U.S. Senior Amateur.
It's just great to see how much these events mean to the players and how they celebrate when they win.
Well, it was a historic performance at the U.S. Senior Open. Steve Stricker playing in his first ever U.S. Senior Open, and it was his championship to dominate. In South Bend, Indiana, they say play like a champion. Today, Steve Stricker played like a champion all week long at the Warren Golf Course at Notre Dame on his way to his first U.S. Senior Open title. He did it in historic fashion. Minus 19, a record by 3, and it was from the start to the finish. It was the Steve Stricker show, Brad.
Well, he dominated every way you could, and Stricker's always been known for being a steady player, straight down the fairways, up and down from everywhere. The highlight reel, you saw every shot he hit, bunker shot, chip shot, they went up to close. That's good, Steve. And, you know, one of the nicest guys in the world that is still competitive on both tours, and it's very hard to do that, Julie. As you know, when you get there, most players try and pick. I'm going to stay on the regular tour. I'm going to play the senior tour. He's done both. He's done both very well. And he won by 6 over David Toms, who had won last year. Jerry Kelly was tied with him, his best friend. And he walked out. It was kind of boring to watch, but kind of cool for Steve.
And it was cool from the start. I mean, you back to how he played on Thursday. As I mentioned, it was his show. It was his week as we take a look at how Steve Stricker won his first U.S. Senior Open title.
And we are here at the 40th U.S. Senior Open Championship as we welcome you to the Warren Golf Course at Notre Dame. You want a shot at this U.S. Senior Open? You better play like a champion today, tomorrow, and all weekend, because the course is your obstacle, the field, your opponent. It's the best in the world. Names we've followed for decades.
Yeah, I'm excited. This is my first U.S. Senior Open. It's a great city we're in here in South Bend, and it's a USGA event. It means a lot, so I'm excited to be here.
These guys are having fun out here. It's going to be a great week. Don't think the anxiety's not building, Shane, because this is the U.S. Senior Open.
Oh, look at Jerry Kelly. That was incredible. Look at this reaction.
You don't say this a lot at a U.S. Open or a U.S. Senior Open, but today's the day you better go low. And we're seeing it.
Watch this. Oh, dunks it for a deuce. Holy smokes.
Steve Stricker, an eagle at 17. He joins David Toms at -8. And our defending U.S. Senior Open champion atop the leaderboard. David Toms off to a heck of a start. It's a Friday at the Warren Golf Course here in South Bend, Indiana, for the second round of the 40th U.S. Senior Open Championship. And records, they are a-fallen. We have seen some crazy good scoring, including Steve Stricker, a 62 on Thursday. This for birdie at the 3rd. That would get him to 12 under par.
Whoa, what a shot. The best shot we've seen today. And
players have been able to attack.
My gosh, that was unlucky.
It has just been simply a birdie fest.
Great players, superstars, and then there's legends. Tom Watson, 68 today. What a terrific round of golf.
17 for 17 cuts made in this championship.
Boy, it just doesn't get any better than that.
What a shot.
And Steve Stricker has just torn the place apart through 2 rounds. 14 under, 62-64.
He's putting on a clinic, boys.
We have some big names in the hunt at this championship with 2 rounds to go. And it has been all Steve Stricker thus far in this championship.
The cream comes to the top, and he is the cream right now.
He had a 2-shot lead coming in to today, and he would start to build on that.
Well, this guy knows what he's doing.
He's not going to give you anything. You're going to have to go take it from him.
And the 52-year-old playing in his first U.S. Senior Open Championship is just simply dominating this entire week.
Right now, his rhythm and tempo is as good as I've ever seen it. It's called talent, T-A-L-E-N-T, and he has it. He continues to have it.
The final round of the 40th U.S. Senior Open Championship here at the Warren Golf Course. And the focus today at this U.S. Senior Open Championship will be on one man hoping to continue his storied pace. One man hoping to win this championship for a first time. One man that knows if he takes care of business on a Sunday in South Bend, this title is his. Today more than ever, it's about playing like a champion.
50 holes without a bogey.
Incredible.
That's sick what he just did.
And the stage now is Steve Stricker's. And Steve Stricker, the 40th U.S. Senior Open champion, and he does it by 6.
You've got your wife, Nikki, on the bag. Your daughters are here. You finally capture a USGA championship. What does this one mean to you?
Trying to get me to cry, aren't you? To get this gold medal and a trophy in a USGA event means a lot.
Mentioned records falling. A chance for 61 on Thursday, open 62-64. You see the margin of victory for Steve Stricker, who won 2 major titles this season, including the U.S. Senior Open, and was just a guy that was putting it all together at the right times, never really faltered. And it was Steve Stricker's trophy. And Steve Stricker is a golfer we've seen for years, for decades, Julie. He's a guy that when you watch him, it just looks real simple.
Well, what I loved about it, doesn't matter what age you win, you still get emotional. And to be able to have to win the USGA Senior Open, it meant a lot to him, and to have his family there. But Steve Games just, I mean, his tempo, his fluidity, it never changes.
Hey, he's a guy that has taught Tiger Woods, helped Tiger Woods with his putting. There's not many on the list that have done that, Brad. There was a moment on Sunday. There was a moment with Steve on Sunday where things weren't going his way, and there was one moment in particular where it seemed like it flipped.
Well, I remember the 12th hole, the long discussion his wife and caddy, Nikki, they were having after he missed the green on 12, and a lot of players had struggled from that side as quick as it was, and he took out his sand wedge, and we know him for that stiff-wristed sort of swing and chip shot especially, and he chipped it in for a 2 and eliminated all doubt, really. But that was, to me, the turning point, the defining moment of Steve Stricker.
Yeah, it wasn't, was he going to win? It was how many is he going to win by, and the number ended up being 6. As we look at what happened in 2019, we look ahead at 2020. U.S. Women's Open will be in Houston. Brad Faxon knows a lot about Newport Country Club. Brooklawn for the Senior Women's Open. And, of course, the U.S. Open returns to Winged Foot. We take you back to 1984. Greg Norman, big par save on the 72nd hole. Fuzzy Zeller waves the white flag, would go on to win in a playoff. And, of course, Phil Mickelson in 2006 needed par to win his first U.S. Open, made double, called himself an idiot, and that is what Winged Foot will do to you. It is a tough, tough test, Brad.
It's such a tough course. I remember when I first started watching golf, 1974, Hale Irwin won there. It was called the Massacre at Winged Foot. I got a Sports Illustrated, and he had his glasses on there. His first thrilling win at 7 over par, Julie. Oh my God, it's going to be so tough. There will not be 13 under par like it was at Pebble Beach.
Hey, and Julie, it is a place when you kind of close your eyes and think of U.S. Opens. You think tight fairways, deep rough, tough greens. Really, Winged Foot comes to mind.
4 days of unbelievable pressure. I mean, that's what you do when you play a U.S. Open. You hold your head, but fairways are going to be the ultimate test. You got to get the ball in the fairway. The rough's going to be up. It's going to play over 7,500 yards. They're going to have to bring their A game.
And Julie, when you know you're going to a really tough golf course like this, how do you change your mentality headed in?
I think the first thing you have to do is get the ball in the fairway. And then from there, where the greens are so small and undulated, that's your next point. But you have to get the ball in the fairway.
If you don't hit the fairway, you cannot hit a green away.
Doesn't really matter how far you hit it down the fairways, but you've got to get it in the short grass. We cannot wait for Winged Foot. It's going to be an unbelievable 2020 U.S. Open. It was a great 2019. We will all hibernate for just a little bit, and we will see you all in Houston for our first event in June at the U.S. Women's Open. Hope everybody has a great New Year's.